They said it was a miracle. A boy on the edge of death, his body failing from untreated diabetes. Given an injection and hours later, breathing easier. That boy was Leonard Thompson, and the year was 1922. You've heard the name insulin. You may even know that its discovery earned a Nobel Prize. But what you probably haven't heard is just how bitter that discovery became, or how the decisions made a century ago still shape who lives and who dies today. Insulin was first successfully used on a human in January of 1922 at Toronto General Hospital. The team behind it included Frederick Banting, a surgeon, Charles Best, a young medical student, James Collip, a biochemist, and John McLeod, a senior physiology professor. Within a year, Banting and McLeod were awarded the Nobel Prize. But the award sparked outrage. Banting, furious that Best was excluded, gave him half his prize money. And then McLeod did the same for Collip. That quiet transaction told a deeper truth. This was no simple duo's achievement. It was a fractured team, torn by resentment, fighting for credit in a race that ultimately saved millions. And that race was never guaranteed to finish. Early extracts from the pancreas caused high fevers, infections, and even death in test animals. Collip's breakthrough using alcohol to purify the hormone was what finally made insulin safe enough for Leonard Thompson's body. Without Collip's work, there would have been no miracle. But history tends to flatten conflict. School books often mention Banting and Best, and very few mention the fights in the lab, or the day Collip locked the others out of his workroom, or the reality that Thompson's second injection on January 23, 1922, was only successful because the first had nearly killed him. Now consider this. In 1923, the University of Toronto sold the patent for just $1. They sold the patent for insulin for just $1. Not to profit. They did it to prevent anyone else from doing so. They licensed production to Eli Lilly and Company, aiming to ensure widespread, affordable access. It was an act of idealism. But idealism, once money enters the equation, can be hard to protect. So by the 1980s, most manufacturers had shifted from animal-based insulin to synthetic human insulin. And in 1982, Humulin, the first genetically engineered insulin, was approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. It was safer, more predictable, and easier to scale. But it also laid the groundwork for patent-protected analog insulins, launched in the 1990s. And that is where prices began to shift. In 1996, a vial of Humalog, the first fast-acting analog insulin, cost just about $21. In 2020, the same vial was listed at $275. That's a 1,200% increase over 24 years. Adjusted for inflation, it's still nearly a 700% rise. Compare that to the United Kingdom or Canada, where the same medication costs between $25 and $40 per vial due to government pricing limitations. And in the United States, out-of-pocket costs can exceed $1,000 per month for an uninsured diabetic using multiple vials and delivery devices. In synthetic insulins, they're not interchangeable. Long-acting formulas like Lantus or Toujeo, fast-acting pens like Fiasp, and traditional vials like Novolin each have different absorption times and shelf lives. So switching isn't always possible without great risk. And that creates dependencies and extreme pricing power. You see, people have literally died rationing insulin. Parents have crossed borders to buy it cheaper. Advocacy groups like Insulin for Life and Life for a Child now ship donated insulin to over 40 countries where access is still a daily struggle. The irony is sharp. A life-saving drug born from a mission of accessibility now sits at the center of one of modern healthcare's most painful contradictions. Insulin's story isn't just about biology or chemistry. It's about memory, about who gets written into the record and who doesn't, about what happens when science serves humanity and what happens when humanity forgets the science that was meant to serve. Frederick Banting died young in a plane crash in 1941. Best became a professor. MacLeod continued in academia and later served as dean at the University of Aberdeen. And Collip? He went on to help pioneer treatments for other diseases, but never received the same recognition. Their work saved Leonard Thompson. It saved millions more after him. But the world they helped build now faces a question they never resolved. Can something invented to save lives stay free of the forces that measure value in dollars? These are Interesting Things with JC.